So it's not only glucose, which is the only product of photosynthesis. Also, there are other molecules, especially the disaccharides like sucrose. It's a very important disaccharide, which is made up of glucose and fructose. It is also one of the product of the process of photosynthesis, specifically the product of the Calvin cycle. It is also known as the transportatory sugar because of its very stable nature. It doesn't react with proteins like other sugars do, and also because it's very highly soluble, so it can act as a very good storage transportatory agent. As far as sucrose synthesis is concerned, as is the case with other carbohydrates, the glycolytic pathway is linked with the synthesis of sucrose. So if we see here, so we from this glycolytic, some of the glycolytic pathways products you can see here, dihydroacetone phosphate, fructose 1,6 biphosphate, fructose 6 phosphate, and eventually you get the glucose 1 phosphate. This glucose 1 phosphate, as you have been seeing earlier with other molecules of carbohydrates in which synthesis of a molecule takes place, synthesis of molecule in which additions of the monomers are involved, that takes place because of the reaction of UTP or GTP. So here glucose 1 phosphate is converted into UDP glucose. Why it's converted, it must be now very easy for you. कोई मुश्किल नहीं होना चाहिए आपको इसमें, because it makes it high energy compound, and as a result the forward reaction will be very easily achievable. So UDP glucose then react with the fructose 6 phosphate, which is the second monomer. So because we know we are going to make a disaccharide, one of the monomer is the glucose and the other is the fructose. So you get then eventually end of the day you get sucrose, which then is utilized for whatever purposes. So these are the details of the reactions which you can read. I have already told you. Now, not only we have been saying it again and again, that it's not only the formation of the compound, formation of the products, or involvement of the reactants, or knowing that which are the reactants or which are the products. It's not always that is important. Of course, that's important. But even more important is that we know that how the process is regulated, how the formation of product of your choice, how its formation is regulated. ये बहुत important है. So is the case with sucrose also, an important carbohydrate. How much your body needs, when does it need, it has to be regulated. So the key cytosolic regulatory steps which are involved in the formation of sucrose from the photosynthesis, they are 1,6 biphosphatase, or more accurately fructose 1,6 biphosphatase. This is inhibited by fructose 2,6 biphosphate under high photosynthesis conditions. Of course, when you get more and more sucrose, you will have increased level of many of the reactants of the glycolytic pathways, because at the end of the day, these are the reactants of the glycolytic pathways which are involved or from which you get the sucrose molecule. So increased level of dihydroxyacetone phosphate or 3-phosphoglycerate, it leads to the more production of sucrose. In inhibition of phosphofructose kinase, it also leads to more and more production of the sucrose. Then, as we have already shown you, that because phosphofructose kinase is inhibited by fructose 2,6 biphosphate, so in this way its involvement is also important. Then increase fructose 1,6 biphosphatase activity, because of the reason that it's involved in the formation of sucrose, is also very important. Enhanced conversion of fructose 1,6 biphosphate, very important, because it will be then eventually converted into the sucrose through certain reactions. increase in fructose 6 phosphate. I mean, any compound which is an intermediate compound in the reaction which leads to the formation of sucrose, any enhancement in the production of these compounds will lead to the enhancement on the production of sucrose. Quite opposite will be the low photosynthetic conditions, when the conditions which are favoring less and less photosynthesis, and so of course the amount of sucrose you will get will also be lesser. So one of the low photosynthesis condition is that when the conditions are dark, I mean, it's not very sunlight, it's not very much, so the rate of photosynthesis is definitely lower, because of the reason you know that neither the temperature is favorable nor the catalysis of water is taking place, because the excitation of the water is not that much as it would be in the daytime. Of course, the fructose 2,6 biphosphate, it is an inhibitor of this reaction, I have been telling you again and again. So its production will be enhanced under low photosynthesis conditions. Of course, promotion of glycolysis, because glycolysis is a catalytic process, while sucrose formation is an anabolic process. So under low photosynthetic conditions, there will be promotion of glycolysis. And of course, if as far as gluconeogenesis is concerned, you can imagine that what would happen if gluconeogenesis is decreased or increased. I won't tell you, it must be very easy for you now. So in this way, you should learn until now that a general scheme of the regulation, that how enzymes regulate a reaction, as we saw in the case of sucrose, and also how the intermediate products which are part of that pathway which is leading toward the formation of the product of your interest, how their concentration also regulate the reaction or the formation of the product of your interest.